The courtroom air hung heavy with the scent of aged wood and faded hopes, a place where promises came to die under the indifferent gaze of justice. Alex Thompson sat rigidly at the polished oak table, his tailored suit starkly contrasting the turmoil inside him. At 38, he had built a tech empire from nothing, a millionaire whose apps revolutionized how people connected online. Yet here he was, severing the most personal connection of all. Across from him, Sophia, his wife of 8 years, held the pen with a grip that betrayed her inner storm. Her dark hair fell in loose waves over her shoulders, framing a face he once woke up to every morning with gratitude. The judge's voice droned on, reciting the formalities of dissolution, but Alex barely heard it. His mind raced back to the beginning, to the college campus where they met. Sophia was a literature major, passionate about stories and dreams, while he tinkered with code in dimly lit dorm rooms. She believed in him when no one else did, working 2 jobs to support his startup dreams. Their wedding had been simple, a beach ceremony at sunset, vows exchanged with the ocean as witnesses. "I will always choose you," he had said then, meaning every word. But success changed everything. Late nights turned into missed dinners, board meetings overshadowed anniversaries, and David Reed's influence grew like a shadow. David, his business partner and closest friend, had been the voice of reason, or Alex thought. "You cannot build an empire dragging dead weight," David had said over whiskey one evening. "Marriage is a distraction, man. Focus on the future." Alex nodded, convinced Sophia's desire for a family clashed with his ambitions. They argued more, and silence lasted, until he filed the papers 3 months ago. Now, as Sophia's pen scratched across the final page, the sound echoed louder than the ticking clock on the wall, more audible than his pounding heart. She did not meet his eyes, not once. Her hand trembled, fingers clutching the pen like a lifeline. Alex recognized that gesture and how she steadied herself to hold back tears. It was the same way she composed herself during their last fight, when he told her she was holding him back. "You deserve someone who can give you the life you want," he had said, words that now tasted like poison. She slid the documents toward him, the paper whispering against the wood like a final sigh. Alex picked up the pen, his resolve cracking for a split second. Doubt flickered, memories flooding in, lazy Sundays in bed, her laughter at his terrible jokes, the way she supported him through failures. But David's words echoed, "This is necessary. You cannot move forward tied down." He signed quickly, ink bleeding into the page, sealing the end of what once felt eternal. Years of shared dreams, talks of children they might have, all reduced to bureaucratic finality. Sophia stood abruptly, chair scraping the floor, grabbing her purse with unsteady hands. Alex found himself saying the word escaping before he could stop it. She paused at the door, back to him, shoulders rising with a deep breath. "I hope you find what you are looking for," she said softly, voice laced with exhaustion rather than anger. Then she was gone, footsteps fading down the corridor, leaving a void that swallowed the room. Alex stared at the empty doorway, the door swinging shut with a soft click. Final, absolute. The lawyer, Mr. Harlan, a wiry man with glasses perched on his nose and a career built on unraveling lives, cleared his throat. "Mr. Thompson, the paperwork will be processed in a few weeks. You will receive confirmation." Alex waved him off, not wanting the details. He gathered the papers and exited the bustling hallway, where lawyers hurried with briefcases and families waited for their own reckonings. A light rain began to fall outside, turning the world gray and blurred. Alex walked to his luxury sedan, papers clutched in his lap as he sat behind the wheel. Freedom, he told himself. This was what he wanted, so why did it feel like a mistake? His phone buzzed. "David, is it done?" The voice was eager, crisp. "Yeah," Alex replied flatly. "Good, time to celebrate. Penthouse tonight, leave the baggage behind." David hung up, leaving Alex staring at rain-streaked glass. He started the engine, pulling into traffic, mind wandering. Sophia's trembling hand replayed in his thoughts, her quiet farewell. He had pushed for this, convinced love was not enough, when ambition called. But as buildings blurred past, he wondered if he had discarded the one thing that mattered. The city sprawled endlessly, and Sophia began a life without him somewhere in it, because he had demanded it. Meanwhile, Sophia navigated the rain-slicked streets, tears mixing with droplets on her cheeks. The divorce hit harder than expected, a culmination of months of watching their bond erode. Alex changed after his company went public, and David's constant presence fueled doubts. She had suggested counseling, but he dismissed it. Now, alone in her modest apartment, she unpacked boxes slowly, each item a reminder of shared history. The space felt hollow, walls echoing her solitude. Days blurred into routines, job hunting, avoiding mutual friends. She found work at a small law firm, answering phones, a far cry from her editing career. She paused for his dreams. Mornings brought nausea, dismissed as grief, but as weeks passed, fatigue deepened and food repelled her. She blamed stress and irregular cycles on heartache. One evening, showering until water ran cold, she noticed changes, tender breasts, a subtle swell in her abdomen. Panic rose. Could it be? The last intimacy with Alex was a desperate attempt to reconnect before the final argument. She dressed and went to work, but a distraction loomed. At lunch in the park, she watched families, envy twisting inside. Mothers with strollers, couples hand in hand. Her hand drifted to her stomach unconsciously. Then she saw him, Alex across the street, laughing with David, grocery bags in hand. He looked lighter, unburdened. Her heart seized. Ducking behind a car, she watched them disappear, breath ragged. That night, staring in the mirror, she acknowledged the truth her body screamed. A pregnancy test confirmed it, but fear of twins or complications gnawed. The next morning started ordinarily, with the alarm blaring and nausea waiting. She dressed and walked to the bus stop, counting sidewalk cracks to distract. Suddenly, the world spun, pavement rushed up. Hands caught her, voices shouted, then blackness. She awoke to fluorescent lights and an antiseptic smell. A nurse hovered. "You fainted. We are running tests." Dr. Vargas entered, her kind eyes scanning her chart. Symptoms? Nausea. Fatigue. Any chance of pregnancy? Sophia hesitated, then admitted the possibility. Ultrasound gel is cold on the skin, and the transducer is gliding. The doctor's "oh" drew her gaze. "Twins," he said gently, turning the screen. 2 heartbeats flickered. The room tilted. "Not possible," she whispered. But it was. 12 weeks along. Healthy, but you need care. Dehydration, low iron. The father? Divorced, gone. Dr. Vargas sat, offering space to cry. "These babies need you to be strong." Sophia nodded, hand on stomach, vowing to protect them alone. Quitting her job, she sought remote work, which was flexible due to nausea. Showing early, she adapted, but loneliness amplified. Every sound evoked Alex, every corner a memory. Spring brought a park walk, babies kicking like greetings. Then she saw him again, with David, carefree. Hiding, she whispered reassurance to her belly. Health declined, anemia worsened, and supplements sickened her. Dr. Vargas warned of risks and urged support. "I can handle it." But nights brought cramps, exhaustion. One evening, contractions hit early. Too soon. The phone slipped under the couch as pain overwhelmed. "Help," she moaned. The neighbor heard and called the emergency. Hospital chaos. Dr. Vargas orchestrated the delivery. Twins emerged, silent, blue. Nurses revived them and they cried weak but alive. Sophia hemorrhaged, blood pressure plummeting. AB negative rare, banks depleted. Check records. Alex is listed as a contact. Call him. Alex dined with David, the phone buzzing and unknown. Third call he answered. "Your ex-wife is dying. Twins need you. Blood match." World shattered. "I am coming." Racing through rain, guilt crashed. He arrived and donated blood to save her. Visited twins, tiny hands gripping. "I am here now." Sophia stabilized, awoke to him beside. Why? The hospital called. "I gave blood. Sorry for everything." She wept, confronted pain. Names: Ethan, Noah. Forgiveness pending, but the connection remained. David visited, saw change, and confessed his own regrets. Therapy began, and the family mended slowly. Park walks symbolized new beginnings. Love endured, redeemed through action. Sophia unlocked the door to her new apartment, the key sticking slightly in the lock, as if the place resisted her entry. The space was cramped, a single room with a kitchenette squeezed into one corner, and a bathroom barely large enough for a shower stall. Windows rattled with every gust of wind, and a faint water stain marred the ceiling like an abstract map of lost paths. She set down the last cardboard box, labeled miscellaneous in neat handwriting, and surveyed her diminished world. Bare walls, worn carpet, and a dying plant left by the previous tenant on the sill. It was all she could afford after the divorce settlement, which left her with scraps while Alex kept the luxurious condo they once shared. The building hummed with life around her, but inside, silence pressed heavily. Next door, a couple's laughter filtered through the thin walls, bright and effortless, a stark reminder of what she had lost. She and Alex used to laugh like that, back when their days were filled with shared jokes and plans. Now, those memories felt like ghosts haunting her every move. She flicked on the television for company, a cooking show droning about perfect pasta, turning up the volume to drown out the neighbors. Unpacking came slowly, reluctantly, as if committing her belongings to shelves would make this solitude permanent. 2 dresses in the closet, books stacked by the window, plates in the cabinet. Everything fit too easily, a cruel testament to how little remained of her old life. Nights were the worst, lying in the narrow bed, staring at cracks in the ceiling while pipes groaned and a distant dog barked. Sleep evaded her, dreams twisted with Alex's face, reaching for him only to grasp empty air. Her body began its betrayal subtly. Mornings brought waves of nausea, coffee turning her stomach, exhaustion weighing like lead despite full nights of rest. She attributed it to heartbreak, the physical toll of grief. Food lost appeal, smells triggered gags, breasts ached with unfamiliar tenderness. She switched to looser clothes, softer bras, blaming irregular cycles on stress. Work became her anchor, a temporary gig at Harmon and Associates, answering phones in a cramped office smelling burnt coffee. "Good morning, how may I direct your call?" The script hid her turmoil, facing a beige wall that offered no judgments. Lunch breaks led to the nearby park, a sandwich uneaten on a bench as she observed life unfolding. Joggers pounded paths, mothers pushed strollers with ease, couples strolled intertwined. She envied the mother's purposeful strides, wondering if she could ever embody that strength. A subtle fullness in her body nagged, hand resting protectively on her abdomen without thought. Pull away quickly, as if caught in a forbidden act. One afternoon, fate intervened cruelly. Across the street, Alex appeared, grocery bags swinging, beside David Reed, his tall frame in an expensive coat, gesturing animatedly. They laughed, heads thrown back, Alex's shoulders relaxed in a way she had not seen since their early days. He looked liberated, as if divorcing her had lifted an invisible burden. Breath caught, she stood abruptly, sandwich tumbling to the ground. Ducking behind a parked car, heart hammering, she peered through windows. Alex nodded at David's words, smiling the smile once reserved for her. They turned the corner, vanishing. She remained crouched, hand to chest, calming ragged breaths. That night, the bathroom mirror reflected a thinner face, tired eyes, and the undeniable swell she had ignored. "Stress," she whispered, but doubt crept in. The signs aligned: nausea, fatigue, tenderness. Her body knew before her mind accepted. Climbing into bed, television blaring a late-night show, she pulled blankets over, hand on stomach, feeling a shift she was unprepared to name. Weeks blurred, symptoms intensifying. She quit the office job, citing family issues to the manager, Patricia, who nodded without probing. Remote work is better suited for routing medical calls from home and is flexible for breaks when sickness strikes. Pay dipped, but freedom allowed pajamas and careful movements. The belly grew undeniable, and the maternity clothes from thrift stores carried faint sense of others' joys. Daily sounds became triggers, footsteps mimicking Alex's stride, laughter echoing his timbre. Grocery runs brought paranoia, spotting blue jackets like his favorites, heart-stopping until strangers turned. The city brimmed with echoes of their past, street corners where they kissed, restaurants of dates, park benches of dreams shared, futures with children now ironically manifesting without him. Late spring urged her outdoors, apartment walls closing in. The park beckoned, babies active, flutters like small miracles amid burdens. Sitting under a tree, bark rough against her back, shade cooling, she whispered to them, "You are active today." Sun warmed her face, eyes closing in fleeting peace, pretending normalcy. Opening them, horror struck. Across, at a cafe with colorful umbrellas, Alex and David walked, bags in hand, laughing again. Alex looked healthier, hair trimmed, clothes new, moving with unburdened grace. She bolted up, belly awkward, hiding behind another car despite the strain. She watched their easy camaraderie through the glass, Alex's smile piercing her. They crossed elsewhere, disappearing. Legs shaking, she walked home the long way, avoiding main streets. The stairs to the apartment ached her back, and the elevator was broken. Inside, locked door, she collapsed. The mirror that night showed round firmness, movements visible under the skin. "Your father does not know," she said to reflection, to them. "He left us, we will be fine without him." Voice cracked, lie bitter. Bed called, television on Wales migrating, volume high. Sleep uneasily, dreams of oceans, drowning. Alex's voice, distant calling. Mistakes, and waking alone, constantly. Health warnings from Dr. Vargas echoed. Anemia was severe, and blood pressure was concerning. Vitamins helped with the slight nausea from supplements. Weight dropped instead of gained, food rebelled. Nights cycled, bladder pressure, cramps, jolting awake, disoriented. Hands trembled, falling items, fork slipping, phone clattering. Babies grow, pressing ribs, kicking, sometimes painfully, and whispering pleas for gentleness. Evening, tying shoes proved impossible, fingers uncooperative, frustration boiling to tears on the floor. Pull yourself together, but energy is lacking. Pain escalated one evening, low back wrapping to stomach, tightening relentlessly. Braxton Hicks? But books said otherwise. Not yet, she begged. Work interrupted, mid-call contractions forcing pauses. Callers concerned. "Are you all right?" "Fine," lied. By nightfall, standing was impossible. Couchside, breathing through waves, timing 3 minutes apart. Too fast. Phone on the table, stretch, contraction hit, device skittering under. Number. Crawling, reaching dust-filled space, vision blurring, sweat chilling. "Help!" Weak voice, walls muffling. Neighbor's dog barked persistently, and the owner investigated, hearing a moan. "Emergency services!" Sirens wailed, distant, then near. Paramedics burst in, hands on her, lights blinding. Losing her, urgent voices, hang on. Thoughts to babies, to Alex, never knowing. Blackness swallowed. At the hospital, Dr. Vargas commanded. Twins premature, mother hemorrhaging. Babies are transferred to the NICU, crying and appearing weak. Blood needed, AB negative scarce. Records show Alex. Call him. Alex, celebrating with David, the phone is insistent. Hospital voice, ex-wife dying, twins yours. Blood match only you. The world tilted, coming. Sophia stirred in the sterile brightness of the hospital room, her eyelids fluttering against the harsh fluorescent lights overhead. The air carried the sharp tang of disinfectant, mingled with the faint metallic scent that hospitals always seem to hold. Her head throbbed faintly, and as consciousness returned, fragments of memory pieced together. The bus stop, the sudden dizziness, the pavement rushing up to meet her. Voices had called out, hands had steadied her, then nothing but a void. "You are awake," a nurse said, appearing at her bedside with efficient movements. She was young, with a ponytail and a name tag reading, Lisa. "Stay still, you fainted at the bus stop. Someone called for help. Do you remember anything?" Sophia shook her head slowly, wincing at the effort. "I do not think I hit my head, just felt weak." "We are running tests," Lisa replied, adjusting a monitor that beeped steadily. "The doctor will be in soon." Left alone, Sophia closed her eyes, trying to steady her breathing. The beeps echoed in her skull, each a reminder of her vulnerability. She had been pushing through the days, ignoring the signs. But now her body had forced a reckoning. What if something was seriously wrong? The thought twisted in her gut, especially with the subtle changes she had noticed but dismissed. "Hello," a voice interrupted her thoughts. Sophia opened her eyes to see Dr. Elena Vargas at the foot of the bed, tablet in hand. Dr. Vargas had kind eyes framed by subtle lines of experience, her silver-streaked hair pulled back in a bun. She exuded calm authority, the kind honed from years in emergency rooms. "I am Dr. Vargas. How are you feeling?" "Confused, mostly. Embarrassed," Sophia admitted. "No need for that. Fainting means your body is signaling an issue. Let us figure it out." Dr. Vargas pulled up a stool and reviewed the chart. "Tell me about your symptoms. How long have you felt unwell?" "A few weeks, maybe longer. Tired all the time, nauseous. It was stressful because of recent changes. Any possibility of pregnancy?" The question landed like a stone in still water. Sophia paused, mind racing back. "No," she said instinctively, then reconsidered. The divorce was finalized months ago, but their last intimate moment had been just before Alex's final declaration. "Actually, I do not know." Dr. Vargas nodded without judgment, as if this uncertainty was commonplace. "Let us check. I will do an ultrasound to be sure." She wheeled over the machine, helping Sophia adjust her position. The gel was cold against her skin, sending goosebumps racing down her arms. "Sorry about that," Dr. Vargas said. "This will only take a minute." The transducer pressed gently, gliding across her abdomen. Sophia averted her gaze, staring at the ceiling tiles. She did not want to see or enjoy confirmation that would complicate everything. Alex had left her, deeming her an obstacle. How could she face this alone? "Oh," Dr. Vargas murmured, her tone shifting to one of quiet wonder. "What?" Sophia whispered, turning despite herself. The doctor rotated the monitor. On the grainy screen, two small shapes pulsed amid the static, heartbeats flickering like stars in a vast night sky. "Twins," Dr. Vargas said gently. "You are pregnant with twins." The world halted, then spun wildly. Sophia stared, chest tightening as emotion surged. "That is not possible," she breathed. "It is very possible. Based on size, it is about 12 weeks along." "Have you had a period recently?" Sophia tried to recall, but the past months blurred into a haze of divorce proceedings, moving, and survival. The move, Alex's cold words, endless nights alone. "I cannot remember." "Breathe," Dr. Vargas instructed, hand on her shoulder. Deep breaths. Tears streamed down Sophia's face, unchecked. She pressed a hand to her mouth, then her stomach, feeling the faint curve she had blamed on poor habits. Twins, Alex's twins, conceived before he walked away, were growing while he celebrated freedom. "From what I see, they are healthy, strong heartbeats, but you are dehydrated and your iron levels are low. That caused the faint. You must take better care. These babies depend on you." These babies. Sophia's mind reeled. Alone, without support, how could she? "Does the father know?" Dr. Vargas asked carefully. She shook her head, voice breaking. "We are divorced. He left me. He is gone." Dr. Vargas pulled a chair closer, sitting in silence as Sophia sobbed. "When you are ready," she said, "what happens next is your choice. But they are real now. They will need your strength." Sophia gazed at the screen again, the twin pulses steady and insistent. Two lives unasked for entering a world where their father had chosen absence. "Can I have a moment?" she asked faintly. "Of course, take your time. The nurse will check back." Dr. Vargas left, wheeling the machine away, but the image burned into Sophia's mind. Hands on her stomach, she felt the weight of responsibility settle like a mantle. "I will do this alone," she whispered to them. "I promise to keep you safe." Outside, the world continued, clouds drifting, people hurrying through lives unaware of the miracle and tragedy unfolding here. Inside her, two hearts beat on, persistent and alive. The discharge came with instructions, rest, vitamins, and follow-ups. Sophia returned home, and the apartment felt even smaller with her secret. She scheduled remote work adjustments, bought prenatal books, and researched alone. But doubt lingered. Family far away. No close friends post-divorce. Alex's circle had become hers, now severed. Dr. Vargas's warnings echoed during checkups. This is high risk. Twins, your anemia. Need support. Sophia nodded, but inside, resolve hardened. She would manage. Nights brought vivid dreams. Babies crying, Alex returning, then vanishing. In the mornings, she felt kicks and small reassurances. One appointment revealed genders. Boys. She smiled faintly, imagining names, but loneliness sharpened. Health dipped, shakes, dropped weight, constant fatigue. Dr. Vargas prescribed iron, but the side effects worsened the nausea. You cannot do this solo, the doctor urged. Consider telling the father. No, Sophia snapped. He chose to leave. As the belly swelled, movements became visible, and she adapted. Thrift clothes, careful steps. Saw Alex once more in passing, hiding quickly. Pain started subtly, building to contractions. Too early. Collapsing, phone lost. Neighbor's intervention saved her. Hospital rush. Emergency delivery. Babies are weak but crying. Hemorrhage, blood loss critical. AB negative needed. Records flagged Alex. He raced through the storm, guilt consuming him. Donated, visited tiny sons, vowed change. Sophia awoke to him, confronted the past. Named Ethan, Noah, forgiveness tentative, blood bond enduring. David confessed to regrets, therapy mended. Family reformed, hope dawned. Sophia stepped out of the hospital into the crisp air, discharge papers clutched in her hand like a fragile lifeline. The sun filtered through scattered clouds, but the warmth did little to ease the chill of uncertainty settling in her bones. Twins. The word echoed in her mind, a double-edged revelation that brought both wonder and terror. She hailed a taxi, directing the driver to her apartment, her hand instinctively resting on her abdomen to shield the tiny lives from the world's indifference. Back home, the space felt even more confining, the walls closing in with the weight of her new reality. She sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the ultrasound printout Dr. Vargas had given her. Two blurry shapes, heartbeats captured in stillness. Healthy for now, but high risk. The doctor's words replayed. You need support, rest, nutrition, regular checkups. Sophia nodded to the empty room, determination hardening. She would manage alone, as she had since Alex walked away. The next day, she returned to the law office with a resignation letter in her purse. Patricia, the stern but fair manager, raised an eyebrow. Is everything okay? Family situation. Sophia replied, the half-truth slipping out easily. New developments, I need to handle. Patricia processed the paperwork without further questions, wishing her well. Sophia's desk was cleared by noon, and a box of belongings was under her arm. She left without glancing back. Remote work came quickly, answering calls for medical offices from her kitchen table. The pay was lower, but the flexibility allowed breaks when nausea struck or fatigue overwhelmed. She could work in comfort, avoiding the outside world's prying eyes, but solitude amplified every ache, every flutter. The babies grew more active, their movements a constant reminder of the life unfolding within her. As her belly rounded, hiding it became impossible. Thrift store maternity clothes stretched over the swell, fabric soft but carrying echoes of others' stories. She moved more slowly, taking deliberate steps to avoid triggering dizziness. Dr. Vargas's follow-up appointments became routine, and the doctor monitored her anemia with growing concern. Iron levels are still low. You are not gaining weight as you should. Are you eating enough? Sleeping? Sophia assured her she was trying, but truth be told, food often came back up, and nights were restless with worries. The city outside her window buzzed with life, but Sophia retreated further, shadows of the past lurking in every corner. Footsteps in the hall conjured Alex's approach, and car doors slamming evoked his arrival home. She avoided main streets during errands, and paranoia was mounting. On one grocery trip, reaching for milk, she spotted a man in a blue jacket, Alex's favorite. Heart racing, she froze until he turned, revealing a stranger's face. Relief washed over her, but the incident left her shaken. The park called to her one warm afternoon, the apartment's confines too stifling. The babies kicked vigorously, as if urging her out. She strolled, hand on belly, finding a bench under a sprawling oak. Bark rough against her back, shade soothing, she closed her eyes, letting bird calls and distant laughter wash over her. For a moment, peace settled, imagining a future where she pushed a double stroller, strong and capable. Eyes opening, the illusion shattered. Across the street, at a cafe with bright umbrellas fluttering in the breeze, Alex and David strolled, grocery bags in hand. They laughed, David's gestures broad, Alex's head tilted back in genuine mirth. He looked revitalized, hair neatly cut, clothes sharp and new, striding with the ease of someone unencumbered. Sophia's breath hitched, a vice tightening in her chest. She stood too quickly, belly protesting, and ducked behind a nearby van, crouching awkwardly despite the strain. Peering through the windows, she watched them pause at the crosswalk. Alex adjusted his bags, nodding at David's words, his smile wide and untroubled. They turned away from the park, disappearing around the corner. Sophia stayed hidden, hand pressed to her racing heart, whispering calming words to the babies who kicked in response to her distress. "It is okay. We are safe." The walk home dragged, legs heavy with adrenaline's aftermath. Climbing the stairs, back aching under the extra weight, she locked herself in and sank onto the couch. That night, mirror reflection showed the undeniable changes. Stretched skin, visible movements like tiny waves. She lifted her shirt, tracing the curve. "Your father is happy without us," she murmured to them. "He chose freedom. We choose each other." Sleep evaded her, television murmuring about ocean migrations, volume masking the neighbors' laughter. Dreams came fragmented, Alex returning, then fading, babies' cries echoing in emptiness. Waking disoriented, she vowed strength, but doubts crept in. Dr. Vargas's next visit brought sterner advice. "You are severely anemic. Blood pressure is fluctuating. This pregnancy demands more." "Family? Friends? The father?" Sophia flinched. "I am handling it." But handling grew harder. Supplements induced vomiting and meals sat untouched. Weight loss continued, energy sapped. Nights cycled through bathroom trips, cramps shooting through legs. She dozed at her desk mid-call, jolting awake in panic. Tremors afflicted her hands, objects slipping constantly. The babies pressed relentlessly, kicking and bruising ribs at times. She whispered pleas, feeling their responses like dialogues. One evening, attempting to tie his shoes, his fingers fumbled hopelessly. Frustration mounted, tears flowing as she sat on the floor. She told herself, "You have to be strong." But the words rang hollow. Pain arrived insidiously, starting low, wrapping forward. Tighten, release, repeat. Books labeled it false labor, but intuition screamed otherwise. "Not yet," she begged her body. Work suffered, contractions interrupting sentences, apologies gasped into the phone, and the caller's concern mounted. Nightfall brought agony, utterly impossible. Curled on the couch, waves crashed every few minutes. Timing, 5, 4, 3. Too rapid. Reaching for the phone, contractions struck fierce, the device tumbling under the furniture. No, crawling, arm stretching into dust, vision spotting, sweat soaked, shivers racked. Help, voice feeble, absorbed by walls, fluid between legs, warm and alarming. Blood, water, tongue bitten, copper taste. The room spun, fan blades hypnotic. "I am sorry," she whispered to the babies. Thoughts to Alex. He would never know his sons, never regret it entirely. Darkness encroached, welcoming. Neighbor's dog barked insistently, and the owner checked the hall, hearing faint moans. Ambulance, sirens pierced the night, paramedics bursting in and losing her. Urgent transfers, monitors faltering. Dr. Vargas orchestrated chaos, delivery rushed, twins limp, then crying weakly. Hemorrhage raged, blood pressure critical. AB negative depleted. Records, Alex's contact, call now. Alex is dining with David, and the phone is persistent. Hospital, ex-wife critical, twins yours, blood needed. Storm Drive, guilt torrent. Donated, visited fragile sons, promised redemption. Sophia stabilized, awoke, and confronted him. Named Ethan, Noah. Tentative bonds reformed. David reflected regret, therapy healed, family dawn. Sophia's strength began to crumble like a fortress under siege, her body a battleground where exhaustion and illness waged relentless war. The anemia Dr. Vargas had diagnosed gnawed at her from within, sapping her energy until even simple tasks felt monumental. Her hands trembled uncontrollably now, fingers slipping on utensils or keys, objects clattering to the floor in frustrating defeat. She stared at her palms as if they belonged to a stranger, betrayal etched in every quiver. Weight melted away instead of accumulating as it should for a twin pregnancy, her frame growing frail while her belly swelled with insistent life. Food, once a comfort, became an enemy. Even bland crackers triggered waves of nausea that left her heaving over the sink, empty and drained. Dr. Vargas's office became a recurring nightmare. The waiting room filled with expectant mothers accompanied by partners, their hands intertwined in shared anticipation. Sophia sat alone, forms in her lap, checking boxes on medical history while leaving the father's section blank. With her silver hair and piercing gaze, the doctor reviewed charts with a frown deepening with each visit. "You are severely anemic," she declared, voice edged with urgency. "Blood pressure is erratic, and iron levels are dangerously low. Vitamins are not enough. You need supplements, rest, and support. This is a high-risk pregnancy. Twins demand more from your body, and yours is breaking down." Sophia nodded, accepting prescriptions with a forced smile. "I am taking the vitamins. I am trying." But trying was not enough. The iron pills twisted her stomach into knots, sending her rushing to the bathroom in agony. Meals sat untouched in the refrigerator, wilting like her resolve. She set alarms to eat, forcing down shakes that tasted like chalk, but nothing stayed. Her reflection in the mirror showed hollow cheeks and dark circles under her eyes that spoke of sleepless nights. Legs cramped, back burned with a fire that no position eased. The babies, oblivious to her suffering, rolled and kicked with increasing vigor, pressing on her bladder every hour, forcing endless trips to the bathroom. The cycle became torturous: lie down, rise, relieve, repeat, until dawn broke and exhaustion claimed her in fitful snatches. She napped unwittingly at her desk during work calls, jolting awake to confused voices on the line. "Are you there?" "Sorry," she gasped, disoriented, heart pounding. Her voice, once steady, now wavered, hands shaking as she typed notes. Dropped glasses shattered, phones slipped from grasp, each incident a hammer blow to her fragile composure. One evening, the simple act of tying her shoes unraveled her. Belly obstructing, fingers fumbling with laces that refused to cooperate, frustration built like a storm. Tears streamed as she collapsed to the floor, sobbing in defeat. "Pull yourself together," she whispered fiercely. "You have to, for them." But energy eluded her, leaving only despair. She switched to slip-ons, simplifying life to bare essentials: work, survive, endure. The pain crept in like a thief in the night, starting low in her back before wrapping vice-like around her abdomen. Tighten, release, a rhythm that mocked her preparations. Braxton Hicks, she told herself, consulting pregnancy books with frantic flips. Practice contractions, normal. But deep down instinct screamed a warning. These felt different, sharper, more insistent. "Not yet," she pleaded to her belly, hands pressing as if to halt the inevitable. "You are not ready. We are not ready." The evening wore on, pain escalating, waves crashing closer together. She tried to work, voice steady on calls, but contractions forced mid-sentence halts, gripping the desk until knuckles whitened. "I apologize," she breathed. "Can you hold?" Callers shifted from patient to worried. "Are you all right?" "Fine," she lied through gritted teeth. "Just fine." By nightfall, standing was agony, each movement a firestorm. She reached the couch, curling on her side, breathing shallowly through the torment. Waves are now regular and relentless, and the timing app shows intervals shrinking. 5 minutes, 4, 3. Panic surged. Too fast. Everything is too fast. Please, not yet. Reaching for her phone on the coffee table, her fingers brushed the edge. Stretch further. A contraction hit like lightning, body convulsing, arm retracting instinctively. The phone skittered off, sliding under the couch. No, she gasped. No, no, no. On knees now, she crawled, arm delving into darkness and dust, fingers scraping futilely. Another wave, vision blurring, sweat beating cold on feverish skin. Help! The cry was weak, swallowed by thick walls. Neighbors absent, building silent. Fluid trickled warm between legs, panic spiking. Water broken? Blood? She did not know and dared not check. Tongue bitten in pain, copper flooding the mouth. The room spun, ceiling fan blades turning hypnotically. Count rotations, lose track, start again. I am sorry, she whispered to the babies, so sorry. Thoughts turned to Alex, his carefree laughter with David, and his choice to leave before knowing. He would never learn of his sons, never bear this guilt. Darkness edged her vision, soft and inviting, like surrender. Please, not yet, her final plea before void claimed her. Neighbor's dog barked furiously, persistent yaps drawing the older woman next door to investigate. Standing in the hall, she heard muffled moans through the door. Hello? Are you okay? No response. I am calling emergency services. Sirens wailed, growing louder, a beacon in her fading awareness. Doors burst open, paramedics swarming, hands on her, voices urgent. We are losing her. BP crashing. Hang on. Monitors beep erratically, her heartbeat flickering weakly, thoughts fragmented. Babies, Alex, regret. The ambulance raced through the city streets, every bump agony. Dr. Vargas met them at the ER, commanding the team. Emergency C-section, twins premature, mother hemorrhaging. Chaos ensued, scalpels flashing, babies extracted limp and blue. Nurses whisked them to NICU, working miracles with oxygen and stimulation, until faint cries pierced the tension. Alive, fighting. Sophia bled profusely, monitors alarming. AB negative needed now. Banks are empty from the earlier accident. Records. Emergency contact. Alex Thompson. Divorced, but listed. Call him. No choice. Alex, mid-celebration with David, phone vibrating insistently. Unknown number. Third ring, he answered. Hospital voice shattered his world. Ex-wife critical. Twins born. Your blood only matches. Storm drive ensued, a guilt tsunami. Arrived, donated, blood rushing to save her. Visited sons, tiny grips anchoring vow. I am staying. Sophia awoke and confronted Alex, named Ethan, Noah, bonds tentative, forgiveness budding. David reflected on past errors and therapy mended fractures. Family reformed, hope illuminated the future. The delivery room pulsed with controlled frenzy, a symphony of urgent voices and beeping machines cutting through the thick air heavy with blood and desperation. Dr. Elena Vargas stood at the center, her scrubs stained, hands steady as she orchestrated the chaos. Sophia lay on the table, pale and unresponsive, her body pushed beyond limits after months of silent struggle. The paramedics had rushed her in, recounting the collapse in her apartment and the neighbor's timely intervention. Emergency C-section, Dr. Vargas ordered, her voice slicing like a scalpel. Twins, premature, mother is hemorrhaging badly. The team moved in synchronized urgency, with the anesthesiologist administering drugs and nurses prepping instruments. The first incision revealed the turmoil within, blood pooling faster than anticipated, vital signs dipping alarmingly. BP was 80/40 and falling, so a nurse called out, "Hang another unit." Dr. Vargas worked swiftly, delivering the first twin, a boy limp and blue, no cry piercing the tension. Nurse Rodriguez swept him to the warming table, suctioning airways, rubbing his tiny back with practiced desperation. "Come on, little one, breathe." The second followed moments later, equally silent, equally fragile. Another nurse, Pilar, took him, mirroring the frantic revival. Two infants, born too soon, were suspended in that fragile limbo where medicine battled fate. Dr. Vargas glanced across the room, her face etched with the strain of too many close calls. "Keep working them, Do not stop. She had delivered countless babies, but these felt heavier, burdened by the mother's isolation. Sophia had arrived alone, no family was listed, and intake forms were sparse. A woman carrying twins in secrecy, pushed to the brink by solitude. Now, her heart rate stuttered on the monitor, breaths shallow and rapid, body surrendering after giving everything to birth. "We need more blood," Dr. Vargas commanded. The AB was negative. Check the database. Technician Torres tapped keys rapidly, fingers flying in the dim glow of the screen. Type confirmed. AB negative, rare, stock low. Frown deepening, he shook his head. "Doctor, regional banks are depleted from that pile-up earlier. Multiple casualties. Nothing available." Dr. Vargas did not flinch. "Widen the search, statewide, national if needed. That will take hours we do not have," Torres replied, voice tight. The monitor wailed, pressure dropping to 60/30. Critical territory, minutes ticking like bombs. Dr. Vargas made the call that defined her career, bending protocol to save lives. Check her records for contacts, family, anyone who might match. With her warm eyes and unyielding spirit, Nurse Pilar grabbed the file. Mostly blank, no next of kin, no support. She came alone. Wait, old emergency contact, Alex Thompson, listed as husband. Note says divorced, outdated. Perfect, Dr. Vargas said, call him. Pilar hesitated, ethics clashing with necessity. If they are divorced, I do not care about the divorce. I care about saving this woman and her sons. Make the call. Pilar dialed, phone to her ear, whispering a silent prayer. It rang into the void. Across town, Alex sat with David, clinking glasses in celebration. Phone buzzing ignored. Spam, he muttered. In the NICU corner, a gasp. Baby A cried weakly, a mew like a kitten's first sound. Rodriguez's face lit with relief. We have one, breathing on his own. The second echoed soon after, cries faint but defiant. Both alive, struggling but persistent. Dr. Vargas allowed a breath of hope, then refocused on Sophia, blood still flowing unchecked. Still no answer, Pilar reported, redialing. Alex finally answered, voice casual. Hello, Mr. Thompson. This is Nurse Pilar from City General. About your ex-wife, Sophia. She is not my. We are divorced, and yes, noted. But you are her emergency contact. Listen carefully. She is in critical condition after delivering twin boys. She needs a transfusion. AB negative. You are the only potential match. Alex's world fractured. Twins? Boys? Mine? Sir, your blood type? AB negative, he stammered. Oh God. He said I am coming, bolting from the table, and David called after him. The storm was raging outside. Alex drove recklessly, and there was rain hammering and guilt flooding. He had left her pregnant, unknowing. Arrived soaked, donated blood, vein pierced, life force flowing to save her. Visited NICU, tiny hands gripping his finger. Vowed, I am here now. Sophia stabilized slowly and awoke to his presence. Why? The hospital called, gave blood, sorry for everything. She confronted, you left me alone. Twins mine. Yes. Named Ethan, Noah. Forgiveness was hesitant, but blood ties bound them. David arrived, saw change, and confessed his lost family to ambition. Therapy sessions began, mending rifts. The family was reformed tentatively, and park walks symbolized renewal. Hope flickered, love redeemed through trials. Alex sat in the dimly lit restaurant, the clink of glasses and murmur of conversations forming a backdrop to his forced celebration. Candlelight flickered across the table, casting shadows on David's face as he raised a toast. To new beginnings, David said, his voice brimming with enthusiasm. The deal we closed today is just the start. Empire building, my friend. Alex forced a smile, clinking his glass, but his mind wandered elsewhere. The divorce was final, and freedom tasted bitter, like wine gone sour. David's influence had pushed him here, convincing him that Sophia was an anchor in the turbulent seas of ambition. Lately, though, doubts have crept in. Memories of her support during his startup struggles haunting him. His phone buzzed on the table, and the screen lit up with an unknown number. Probably spam, Alex muttered, flipping it face down. David grinned. Popular tonight? Another buzz. Want to answer that? Alex glanced at the same number. It can wait. They continued talking, and David outlined plans, expansions, and investments. The phone vibrated again, insistent. You should get it, David urged, concern edging his tone. 3 calls mean something. Alex excused himself, weaving through tables to the entrance, cool night air rushing in as he answered. Hello? The voice on the other end was calm yet urgent, professional polish masking underlying desperation. Is this Alex Thompson? Yes. Who is this? This is Nurse Pilar from City General Hospital. I'm calling about your ex-wife, Sophia. Alex froze, restaurant noise fading to static. My ex-wife? We are divorced. Yes, we have that noted. But you are still listed as her emergency contact. Sir, I need you to listen carefully. Your ex-wife is in critical condition. She just delivered twin boys prematurely. She is hemorrhaging and needs a blood transfusion immediately. A B negative is rare, and our supplies are depleted. Are you able to donate? The words slammed into him like a freight train. Twins. Boys. Delivered? His mind reeled, piecing together the impossible. I do not understand. Repeat that. Pilar's voice steadied him. Sophia is fighting for her life after an emergency delivery. The babies are stable, but premature. We need your blood type confirmed right now. AB was negative, Alex replied automatically, and the match dawned on him. Oh God. The timeline clicked. Their last night together, before he declared the marriage over, before David's words sealed his decision. She had been pregnant when he left, carrying his sons while he pursued empty ambitions. Are they mine? Sir, I cannot confirm paternity over the phone, but the situation is dire. Can you come to the hospital? Behind him, David called his name, but Alex waved him off. Tell me the address. Pilar provided it. Emergency entrance. Hurry. He hung up, world spinning. David approached. What happened? Sophia, hospital, twins, mine. She is dying. I have to go. Alex grabbed his coat, leaving bills scattered on the table. David followed. Talk to me. What twins? I cannot explain now. Alone. He pushed past, into the rain-slicked night, city lights blurring through the downpour. His car started with a roar, tires screeching as he pulled into traffic, horns blaring, and he was ignored. Mind raced backward, signing papers, her trembling hand, her sad farewell. He had abandoned her, pregnant, unknowing. Guilt choked him, tears mixing with rain on the windshield. The highway stretched dark and wet, speedometer climbing dangerously. 40, 50, 60. He weaved lanes without signaling, more horns protesting. Phone buzzed again, David texting. Whatever it is, I am here. Alex ignored it, focusing on the road and reaching her. Rain pounded relentlessly, wipers struggling. He thought of Sophia alone, appointments solo, feeling kicks in isolation, collapsing without help. Because of him, because he chose ambition over love. What have I done? Traffic thickened, taillights a red sea. He slammed the steering wheel, frustration boiling. An opening appeared and he swerved, cutting off a truck. Exit loomed, taken sharply, tires hydroplaning briefly before gripping. The hospital rose ahead, a beacon of lights amid the storm. He parked crookedly in an emergency, engine ticking as he sprinted through rain, shoes splashing puddles. Automatic doors parted slowly, Alex squeezing through. Inside, chaos reigned, waiting patients, nurses hurrying, cries echoing. He approached the desk, breathless. I am Alex Thompson, called about Sophia, my ex-wife. She needs blood. The receptionist alerted, nodding. Donor, follow me. She led through double doors and hallways smelling of antiseptic and fear. Is she okay? Doctors are doing everything, not reassuring. A small room awaited, chair central, equipment ready. Sit, a technician instructed. The sleeves were rolled, the vein was found, and the needle pinch was barely registered amid turmoil. Blood flowed, a red lifeline connecting him to her, to them. This takes minutes, Pilar said, appearing. Relax. Relax? Absurd. While Sophia died down the hall, the sons fought for breath. The babies? Breathing weakly. NICU. Concern is hers. She lost too much. Alex nodded, guilt-crushing. I left her. Did not know she was pregnant. Pilar offered no judgment. What matters is that you are here now. The machine beeped, collection complete. Needle removed, gauze pressed. Dizzy? Can I see her? Not yet. Transfusion first, doctor. Vargas entered, tired but resolute. You saved her. Pressure stabilizing. Babies holding. Can I see them? Understand first. She did this alone. No support but you. Outdated. Alex swallowed. I did not know. You left. She paid the price. Those boys are yours biologically. What you do next defines you. Once you see them, you're not walking away without knowing what you're abandoning. She left. Alex rose slowly. Hallway leading to the NICU, with glass walls. Rows of incubators held fragile lives. Nurse station. Lewis twins. This way. Two side by side. Tiny bodies wired. Monitors steady. Baby A and Baby B have no names yet. Touch. Through ports. He reached. Finger gentle. Baby A uncurled. Gripped with surprising strength. Throat tightened. Tears fell. Hey, I am your dad. Sorry, I was not there. Alex moved to Baby B. Same grip. Same promise. Fighters, like your mom. Pilar appeared. She is awake. Hallway silent. Heart pounding. Be gentle. She does not know you are here. The door is open, the room is dim, and the machines are soft. Sophia was asleep, pale but breathing. Chair pulled, Alex sat, watching her chest rise, fall. Exhaustion hit, head dropping, sleep claiming him. Hand on bed's edge, reaching for redemption. Sophia stirred later, eyes opening to him. Alex? He woke, relief flooding. You are awake. What are you doing here? The hospital called, gave blood. Twins alive, boys, fighters. She touched her stomach, empty. Can you see them? Soon, rest. Tears fell. You left. I know, sorry. Does not fix, but I am here now. Love you always, convinced wrong. She closed her eyes. Do not know trust. Let me prove. Names? Ethan, Noah. He pressed her hand to her chest. Blood shared, connected forever. Rain stopped, dawn breaking. In the NICU, the boy's eyes opened. Welcome, the nurse whispered. Dad trying, counts. Room 847, 2 slept close. Blood, choice, binding. David visited, confessed regrets, and lost family ambition. Therapy started, healing slowly. Family dawned anew. The donation room was stark and silent, save for the soft hum of the machine drawing Alex's blood into the collection bag. Pilar worked with quiet efficiency, monitoring his vitals and adjusting the tube as needed. Her movements were automatic, born from years of handling crises, but her eyes held a compassion that pierced through the clinical detachment. Alex stared at the ceiling tiles, counting the specks in a futile attempt to anchor his racing thoughts. The needle's sting had faded, but the guilt burned hotter, a fire in his veins matching the flow of red liquid leaving his body. You are doing great, Pilar said softly, her voice a gentle counterpoint to the mechanical whir. Am I? Alex's tone was hollow, laced with self-loathing. I just learned I abandoned my pregnant wife, left her to face this alone. She almost died because I was not there. Pilar paused, her hand still on the equipment. She had heard similar confessions in these rooms, raw outpourings from people confronting their failures. Sometimes, silence was the best response, letting the words hang until the speaker processed them. She never told me, Alex continued, voice cracking. And I do not blame her. I told her she was holding me back, that I needed to focus on my future without her. Made her feel like the problem when I was blinded by ambition. The machine beeped steadily, the bag filling with the essence that could rewrite his mistakes. Pilar finally spoke. What you did in the past is between you two. What you are doing now, giving this blood, saving her, that counts too. Please do not dismiss it. The beep signaled completion. Pilar carefully removed the needle, pressing gauze to the site and taping it securely. Keep pressure here. Stand slowly. You might feel lightheaded. Can I see her? Not yet. We need to start the transfusion, then we will assess. The babies are in NICU down the hall. But Mr. Thompson, take a moment. This is overwhelming. Discovering you are a father to twins while their mother fights for life, that is heavy. She left with the bag, the door clicking shut. Alex sat, arm throbbing, head spinning from blood loss and shock. Twins, his sons, conceived before he shattered their world, Sophia had carried them through heartache alone because he deemed her expendable. The room felt smaller, walls pressing in with accusations. Dr. Vargas entered, scrubs bloodied, fatigue lining her features. "Mr. Thompson, she is alive thanks to you. The transfusion is underway, vitals stabilizing. Not out of danger, but fighting. The boys are breathing independently, premature but resilient like their mother." Alex stood unsteadily. "Can I see them?" Dr. Vargas studied him. "First, grasp this. Sophia endured this solo. No family, no one but your outdated contact. She carried twins, worked, and survived without aid. You filed for divorce, leaving her to bear the cost." "I did not know," Alex whispered, shame flooding him. "I am sure, but actions have consequences. Those boys are yours by blood. Decide what that means. Seeing them changes everything. You cannot unknowingly know fatherhood without abandoning it." She departed, leaving him in turmoil. Alex exited, hallway lights harsh. A nurse directed him to the NICU, glass-enclosed rows of incubators sheltering fragile miracles. At the station, he requested the Thompson twins. "This way," a nurse said kindly, leading to 2 adjacent units. Tiny forms lay within, wired to machines, skins translucent, eyes closed under warming lights. "These are baby A and baby B," she explained. "No names yet. Mom had ideas." Alex shook his head, speechless. "Can I touch them?" "Through the ports, gently," she demonstrated. Alex reached for baby A, finger-brushing tiny hand, fingers uncurled, grasping with unexpected strength. Emotion surged, tears streaming. "Hey there," he whispered. "I am your father. Sorry your mom did this alone. Sorry, I left before knowing you existed." He shifted to baby B, which had the same tender grip. "You are strong, both of you, like her, the mother I failed." He stood, hands connected, feeling the full weight of his choices. "I do not know if she will forgive me," he murmured. "But I promise, I am not leaving. I will make this right, whatever it takes." Pilar appeared. "She is awake." Alex withdrew carefully, following the room. "Be gentle. She does not know about you or the blood. Make words count." The door opened to dim light, machines humming softly. Sophia lay pale, eyes closed, rain pattering on the window. Alex approached reverently, seeing IVS, monitors tracking her fragile hold on life. He pulled a chair, sitting vigil, watching her breathe. Exhaustion overtook him, head bowing, sleep stealing in, hand near hers, bridging the chasm he created. Hours passed, nurses checking, doctors nodding approval. Alex stirred to Dr. Vargas. "Still here?" "Where else?" Most ex-husbands do not linger, especially those who have moved on. I did not move on. Made the worst mistake, beginning to see. She checked vitals. She will wake soon. Questions will come. About survival, babies, you. Tell the truth. Wrong. Sorry. Want to stay if allowed. We'll tell about blood. That is yours to decide. Please do not use it for obligation. Earn forgiveness genuinely. She left. Afternoon light shifted golden. Alex's phone buzzed. David was persistent. He silenced it, priorities clear. Sophia stirred, fingers twitching, eyelids fluttering. Chest rose deeper, consciousness returning. The boys opened their eyes in the NICU, seeing the world anew. The nurse smiled. "Your dad is trying. Counts." Outside, the sun dipped, sky painting hues. In the room, 2 once bound now hovered near reconciliation. Blood flowing, choices mending. Sophia opened her eyes, seeing him. "Alex?" Awake. The hospital called. "Blood mine saved you. Twins alive. Boys." She touched her empty stomach. "See them. Soon." Tears. "You left. I know. Sorry does not fix. Here now. Love never stopped." Convinced love is insufficient. Wrong. She closed her eyes. "Cannot trust yet. Let's prove." Names. Ethan. Noah. He pressed his hand to his chest. Blood shared. Connected eternally. Rain ceased, dawn hinting. David visited, witnessed change, and confessed that ambition cost his family. Therapy began, and healing was gradual. Family reformed, hope blooming, park outings bridged, love redeemed actions. Alex stirred in the uncomfortable hospital chair, his neck stiff from the awkward sleep angle. The room was bathed in the soft glow of monitors, their rhythmic beeps a constant companion through the night. Rain pattered against the window, a steady drum that mirrored the turmoil in his mind. He rubbed his eyes, glancing at Sophia. She lay still, her breathing even, chest rising and falling in a pattern that brought him fragile relief. The transfusion had worked its miracle, her color returning slightly, but the fragility of the moment hung heavy. Gray dawn light filtered through the blinds, signaling the end of a night that felt eternal. His phone buzzed in his pocket, vibrating insistently. Pulling it out, he saw multiple missed calls from David, texts piling up with questions about his sudden disappearance. Everything okay? Investors are asking. Call me. Alex silenced it, slipping the device away. Work, ambitions, and the empire he had chased seemed distant now, trivial in the face of this reality. He had built a life without her, convinced it was progress. But sitting here, he saw the hollow core of that choice. Sophia had been his foundation, the one who believed in him when he was just a coder with dreams. How had he let David convince him otherwise? A nurse entered quietly, a new shift with fresh energy. She checked the IV drip and monitors, making notes on her tablet. "You are still here? Most do not stay overnight, especially ex-spouses." Her tone held no judgment, just observation. Alex flinched at the label, ex-spouse, a title he had sought, now a scar. "I am not leaving, not this time." The nurse nodded, her expression softening. "She is improving, vitals stable, should wake soon. The babies are holding strong too. Preemies, but fighters. You should revisit them." He considered it, the pull to see his sons strong. But he could not leave her side until she opened her eyes, and he could face what he had done. The nurse left, and Alex sat quietly watching Sophia sleep. He tried to recall her peaceful like this, before arguments and silences eroded their bond, before David's whispers of greater things poisoned his thoughts. He could not remember, and that realization cut deep. His mind wandered to their beginning, college days, her laughter in the library as he explained code, her hand in his during walks. Their wedding, simple vows on a beach at sunset. "I will always choose us," she had said. He broke that promise, swayed by success and David's mantra of unburdened potential. Phone buzzed again. "David." Alex stepped into the hall to answer, keeping his voice low. "Where are you?" David demanded, worry sharpening his words. "You vanished last night." "Hospital. Sophia had twins. Emergency. They are mine. She almost died. I donated blood." Silence stretched. "Twins? Yours? Jesus." "Alex, are you okay?" "No. I left her pregnant without knowing. Need time. Everything is on hold." David's tone shifted. "The deal, investors. I know, but family first. We'll figure it out." Alex hung up, leaning against the wall. David's words echoed past advice. Cut ties, focus forward. Now, they rang false. Back in the room, Alex resumed his vigil. Hours ticked by, doctors checking progress, nurses rotating. Pilar brought coffee and a sandwich. "Eat, you donated blood, need strength." He forced bites, tasting nothing, but the caffeine grounded him. He thought of the boys, their tiny grips, and the promises made at that moment. He would be the father they deserved if Sophia allowed. Another doctor entered, younger with a gentle demeanor. "She is doing well. Transfusion is a perfect match. She will wake soon. Recovery will be long. Twins, trauma, and emotional toll. Need support. I want to help, if she lets me." "That is up to her. Showing up matters. Past is past, future is what counts." He left. Alex pondered. What do you do next? Dr. Vargas returned, less weary. "Still here?" "Where else?" "Most move on. I made a mistake, the biggest of my life." She checked the monitors. "She will wake. Questions about survival, babies, and you. Be honest. Regret, apology, desire to stay." "Will be." She departed. Light shifted to afternoon gold. Alex's eyelids drooped, but he fought sleep, wanting to be alert when she woke. Exhaustion won, head falling forward. Sophia stirred, unnoticed at first, fingers twitching, breaths deepening. Eyelids fluttered, awareness returning. In the neonatal intensive care unit, boys opened their eyes and the world sharpened. Nurse noted, smiling at synchronicity. Mother and sons awakened together. Alex woke to movement. Sophia's eyes open, gazing at the ceiling. "You are awake," he said softly, relief flooding. "What are you doing here?" Voice weak but sharp. "The hospital called, emergency contact, gave blood to save you. Twins alive. Boys, strong." She touched her stomach, tears welling. "See them?" "Soon. Rest." Tears fell. "You left, broke me." "Yes, sorry, insufficient, but true. Wrong about everything. Love is always there, buried under ambition. Want to stay, prove changed, if allow." She closed her eyes, hurt too much, alone through all. "Let me make it right. Names? Ethan, Noah." He took his hand and pressed it to his chest. "Blood mine in you, yours in me. Connected beyond papers." Rain stopped, light warming. David arrived, saw the scene, and confessed, "Lost my family to ambition. Wrong advising you. Sorry." Therapy began, sessions raw but healing. Family mended slowly, park walks with stroller, laughter returning. Hope bloomed, love redeemed through persistence. Sophia blinked against the harsh fluorescent lights of the hospital room, her eyelids heavy as if weighted by the remnants of a long, turbulent dream. The sterile scent of antiseptic lingered in the air, mingling with the faint beep of monitors that tracked her vital signs. Her body ached, a dull throb radiating from her abdomen where the surgical scars still pulled taut beneath the thin gown. She shifted slightly, wincing at the pull, and that is when she saw him. Alex Thompson, her ex-husband, who had walked away from their 8 years of marriage without a backward glance, sat slumped in a chair beside her bed. His suit jacket was rumpled, his tie loosened, and dark circles shadowed his eyes, evidence of a vigil she had not invited. Her heart stuttered, a surge of confusion and anger flooding her veins like ice water. The last clear memory she held was the agony of contractions too early, the world blurring as she collapsed in her cramped apartment, reaching futilely for the phone. Now this, him, here. Sophia's voice emerged hoarse, scraped raw from disuse. "Why are you here? You left me. You abandoned everything we had." Alex's head snapped up, his blue eyes widening in relief and trepidation. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees, hands clasping together as if to steady himself. "Sophia, thank God you're awake." The words tumbled out, laced with a desperation she had not heard from him in years. "The hospital called me. You were in surgery, losing blood faster than they could replace it. The twins, our sons, they were born premature. I had to come. I had no choice." She stared at him, processing the fragments of his explanation. Twins. Sons. The words echoed in her mind, pulling at the fog of postpartum haze. Dr. Vargas had mentioned something about the babies during her delirium, but it felt distant, unreal. And now Alex knew. The secret she had guarded so fiercely, the one that had sustained her through sleepless nights and waves of nausea, was laid bare in this sterile room. Her hand instinctively moved to her flat stomach, empty now, a void that both terrified and liberated her. "You had a choice 8 months ago," she whispered, her voice gaining strength with each syllable. "When you signed those papers and chose your empire over us, over me. Why pretend to care now?" Alex's face crumpled, the sharp lines of his once confident jaw softening under the weight of regret. He reached out tentatively, his fingers hovering near hers on the bedsheet, but he did not touch her. "Not yet, I know. God, Sophia, I know how badly I failed you. The ambition, the deals, the endless climb. It blinded me." David kept pushing, saying marriage was a chain holding me back, that true success demanded sacrifice. I believed him. I convinced myself it was necessary, but seeing you like this, hearing about the pregnancy you carried alone, it shattered everything. The nurse, Maria, pulled my name from your old emergency contact. Group AB negative, rare as hell. They needed me to donate blood, your blood, the baby's blood. I was the only match. Sophia's breath caught, a sharp intake that made the IV line in her arm tug uncomfortably. Blood. The essence that had coursed through her veins, sustaining the lives she had nurtured in secret, now tied them all to him, irrevocably. She remembered the doctor's warnings during her checkups. The anemia worsened, and the risks multiplied each week. Dr. Vargas had prescribed iron supplements and rest, but Sophia had pushed through, stacking freelance gigs at her laptop until her vision blurred. The isolation of her tiny apartment, with its peeling wallpaper and howling winds, had been her armor. No family is nearby, and there are no friends to burden her with her unraveling world. Just her, and the two tiny heartbeats that had become her anchor. She said, "You have no idea what it was like," her words spilling forth like a dam breaking. "The mornings I woke up soaked in sweat, I was convinced I was losing them. The way food turned to ash in my mouth, every bite a battle against the nausea. I hid it all, Alex, from everyone, because if I admitted it and let myself break, what then? You built your legacy toasting freedom with David, while I measured my days in kicks and ultrasound shadows. I saw you once, you know, at that cafe on Elm Street, laughing like the weight of the world had lifted. It confirmed everything. You were done with us." Tears welled in her eyes, hot and unbidden, tracing paths down her cheeks. She turned her face away, toward the window where rain pattered against the glass in a relentless rhythm. Outside, the city lights blurred into a neon haze, indifferent to the fractures within these walls. Alex's hand finally bridged the gap, his palm warm against her knuckles, a touch that sent a jolt through her frayed nerves. She did not pull away, though every instinct screamed to do so. "I'm sorry," he murmured, his voice thick with emotion. "More sorry than words can capture. I replayed our last conversation 1,000 times on the drive here, the rain pounding like accusations. You said you hoped I found what I wanted, and I thought I had. The contracts were signed, and the investors lined up, but it was hollow, empty, until that call ripped it all apart." He paused, his thumb tracing gentle circles on her skin, a gesture from their early days that she had almost forgotten. "The babies, Ethan and Noah. The doctor said you named them already. They're fighters, Sophia, tiny but holding on in the NICU. I held their hands and felt those little fingers grip mine. It's like they knew, like they were waiting for me to wake up too." Sophia nodded faintly, the names evoking a swell of fierce protectiveness. Ethan, for strength, the unyielding force that had carried her through the darkest hours. Noah, for hope, the quiet promise that dawn followed even the fiercest storm. She had whispered them to her belly in the silent nights, weaving stories of a future where they thrived, unscarred by their parents' mistakes. Hearing Alex speak them aloud twisted something deep inside her, a thread of connection she could neither sever nor fully embrace. Through the blood, she admitted softly, her gaze returning to his. "That's what binds us now. Not vows or rings, but this. You gave them life when I couldn't anymore. The doctor said without the transfusion, I might not have made it. They might not have. So thank you, for that at least." Alex's eyes glistened, unshed tears reflecting the dim light. "It wasn't enough. It will never be enough to erase what I did, but let me try. Let me be here, not as the man who left, but as their father, as whatever you need me to be. No pressure, no demands, just us. We didn't plan this family, but we can't deny it." The room fell into a weighted silence, broken only by the steady drip of her IV and the distant murmur of hospital corridors. Sophia studied him, searching the familiar planes of his face for the boy she had fallen for at university. The lanky student with wild dreams and a laugh that lit up lecture halls. Success had sharpened him, etched lines of ambition across his brow, but she glimpsed flickers of that vulnerability beneath it. The rain outside intensified, drumming a staccato beat that mirrored her racing thoughts. Forgiveness was not a switch to flip, not after the solitude that had carved hollows in her soul. Yet, in this moment, with the ghosts of their past hovering like shadows, she felt the stirrings of possibility. "Tell me about them," she said finally, her voice steadier. "The boys. What do they look like? Alex's expression softened, a tentative smile breaking through. "They're perfect. Ethan has your dark curls, peeking out from under the tiny cap. Noah's got my nose, poor kid, but his eyes are wide and curious, like they're taking the whole world. The nurses say they're breathing on their own most of the time, gaining weight by the ounce. I sat with them for hours, reading that old book of poetry you loved, the one from our anniversary." A ghost of a smile tugged at Sophia's lips, memories surfacing unbidden. Shelves of dog-eared volumes in their old apartment, late nights tangled in sheets, reciting verses until dawn. Those days felt like another lifetime, before boardrooms and betrayals. "Keep reading to them," she instructed, her tone firm yet laced with warmth. "They need your voice. And when I'm stronger, we'll see them together." He nodded, squeezing her hand gently. "Together, I promise." As the pain medication wove its sedative threads through her system, Sophia allowed her eyes to drift closed, exhaustion claiming her once more. But this time, the darkness held less terror. Alex remained a quiet sentinel, his presence a bridge over the chasm of their shared history. In the quiet, she pondered the irony. The man who had severed their bond with ink and resolve now mended it with the most primal of gifts, his blood coursing through her veins, through their sons. It was not redemption in full, not yet, but a reckoning. A facing of the past that demanded they confront not just the pain, but the love that had endured beneath it. Hours slipped in that suspended haze, the storm outside ebbing to a gentle patter. Sophia stirred again, this time to the soft vibration of Alex's phone on the bedside table. He silenced it without looking, his focus unwavering. "Work?" she asked, arching an eyebrow. "David," he replied. "But it can wait. For the first time in years, it all can." She searched his eyes, finding sincerity where doubt had once reigned. The path ahead was uncharted, fraught with therapy sessions, midnight feedings, legal tangles, and lingering hurts. The twins' genetic test results loomed unspoken, a shadow Dr. Vargas had hinted at during rounds, hinting at inherited conditions that would test their resolve. Yet, Sophia felt the first stirrings of alliance in this fragile interlude. Not love reborn, perhaps, but a partnership forged in fire. "Rest now," Alex murmured, adjusting her pillow with care. "I'll be here when you wake." And as sleep reclaimed her, Sophia allowed herself to believe him. The past had clawed its way to the surface, demanding accounting, but in its wake lay the raw materials for something new. Ethan and Noah, their tiny warriors, pulsed with potential. Strength and hope, embodied. The family they might yet become. The hospital corridor hummed with the subdued rhythm of late afternoon, fluorescent lights casting long shadows across the linoleum floors. David Reed strode through the automatic doors with the purposeful gait of a man accustomed to commanding boardrooms, his leather briefcase swinging at his side like an extension of his will. He had ignored 3 missed calls from Alex earlier that day, assuming they were about the latest venture capital pitch. Still, curiosity turned to alarm when the 4th came from an unknown number prefixed with the city hospital code. Now, as he scanned the signage for the neonatal intensive care unit, a knot of unease tightened in his chest. Alex Thompson, his protege and closest ally in the cutthroat world of tech startups, had vanished into this place of beeps and bandages, leaving a multi-million-dollar merger hanging by a thread. David spotted Alex through the glass partition of the family lounge, hunched over a small bassinet where one of the twins lay swaddled in a pale blue blanket. The other infant rested nearby, connected to a web of monitors that blinked like distant stars. Alex's broad shoulders, usually squared in defiance of any setback, now curved protectively, his large hand dwarfing the tiny fingers curled around his thumb. It was a sight so incongruent with the shark he knew that David paused, the door handle cold under his palm. He had come to drag Alex back to reality, to remind him that empires did not build themselves, but this tableau rooted him in place. Pushing the door open, David cleared his throat. "Alex, we need to talk. The merger documents are stacking up, and the investors are circling like vultures. You cannot hide out here indefinitely." Alex did not look up immediately, his gaze lingering on the baby's serene face, and his chest's faint rise and fall were a testament to fragile resilience. When he finally turned, his eyes held a clarity David had not seen since their university days, before the late nights and ladder climbing had hardened them both. "David," he said quietly, his voice steady despite the exhaustion etched into his features. "Sit down. This is not about work. Not anymore." David hesitated, then dropped into the vinyl chair opposite, setting his briefcase aside with uncharacteristic care. The lounge smelled of coffee from a nearby machine, and the underlying tang of sanitizer, a far cry from the espresso bars of Silicon Valley cafes. He studied Alex, noting the rumpled shirt sleeves rolled to his elbows, the stubble shadowing his jaw. What the hell happened? The nurse on the phone mentioned twins. "And Sophia, I thought that chapter was closed." "It is not," Alex replied, his tone measured. "The chapter never closed, David. It just got buried under all the noise we created. Sophia nearly died giving birth. The boys, Ethan and Noah, are fighters, but came too early. And without my blood, none of them would be here. I signed those divorce papers thinking I was freeing myself for something bigger." But he gestured toward the bassinets. "This is the bigger thing. I am not going back, not yet, not until they are strong enough." David leaned back, crossing his arms, a flicker of impatience crossing his face. He had always been the architect of their successes, who whispered that personal ties were liabilities in the race to the top. 8 months ago, over scotch in a dimly lit lounge, he had convinced Alex that Sophia was the anchor dragging him down, that true innovation demanded solitude. Now, watching his friend cradle a newborn's hand as if it were the most precious artifact, doubt crept in like fog off the bay. "He said you are throwing away everything we built," though the conviction rang hollow even to his ears. "The app launch is in 2 weeks. We close this deal, and you are set for life." Alex shook his head, a sad smile tugging at his lips. "Set for life, that is what I thought freedom meant. Endless meetings, metrics, the next big exit. But last night, holding Noah while he cried, I realized it was all smoke. You were right about pushing hard, David. You always are. But you were wrong about the cost. Sophia carried this alone because of me, because of us. And I cannot unmake that, but I can choose differently now." The words hung in the air, heavy with unspoken accusations. David shifted uncomfortably, his fingers drumming a staccato on the armrest. He had built his fortune on ruthless decisions, advising countless entrepreneurs to sever emotional deadweight. Yet, memories surfaced unbidden as the monitors beeped softly, syncing with the twins' heartbeats. A decade ago, in a similar sterile room, he had stood over his wife's bedside, her hand limp in his after a car accident he had caused by texting during a drive home from a networking event. Their daughter, barely 2, had been in the back seat, her cries the last sound he remembered before the world shattered. Guilt had driven him to dissolve the remnants of that life, channeling grief into ventures that numbed the ache. He had never spoken of it, not even to Alex, burying the loss under layers of success. "I was wrong," David admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. The confession clawed its way out, raw and unpolished. "Not just about you and Sophia, about everything. I lost my family the same way, pushed too far, too fast. One night, rushing to a pitch, I took my eyes off the road. Crash. Emily never woke up. Little Sarah, she went to my sister after that. I told myself it was for the best, that I could not be the father they needed, but it was cowardice. Ambition as armor. Seeing you here with them is like staring at the man I could have been if I had turned back sooner." Alex's expression softened, surprise mingling with empathy. He reached across the space between them, clasping David's shoulder. "I am sorry, man. I never knew. When you pushed me to cut ties, I thought it was just your style, the lone wolf philosophy." David nodded, swallowing against the lump in his throat. "It was, still is, in a way. But do not make my mistakes. Stay. Be the father these boys deserve. The merger can wait, or find someone else to run point. You have earned a pause." Their conversation drifted then, from regrets to tentative plans, the lounge filling with a fragile camaraderie born of shared vulnerability. Footsteps echoed in the corridor, heralding Sophia's approach, wheeled in a chair by a nurse for her first supervised visit to the NICU. She looked pale against the pillows, her dark hair loosely tied back, but her eyes burned with a quiet fire as they met Alex's. David stood, offering a nod of respect. "Sophia," he said softly, "you look stronger every time I see you. If there is anything—" She inclined her head, acknowledgement without warmth. "Thank you for coming, David, but right now, we need space, family space." He understood the boundary, unspoken yet firm. With a final glance at the twins, their tiny chests rising in unison, David gathered his briefcase and slipped out, the door clicking shut behind him like a seal on old wounds. In the hallway, he paused, pulling out his phone to text the legal team. "Delay the pitch. Personal emergency." For the first time in years, the words felt right, unburdened. Back in the lounge, Sophia allowed Alex to lift Ethan into her arms, the baby's weight a revelation of warmth and wonder. He was lighter than she remembered from the ultrasounds, his skin translucent over delicate veins, but his grip on her finger was fierce. Noah followed, nestled against her chest, their combined heartbeats a symphony against her own. Tears traced silent paths down her face, not of sorrow, but of overwhelming connection. "They are beautiful," she murmured, her voice thick, like you said. Alex knelt beside her, his hand resting lightly on her knee. "They are us, Sophia, the best parts. I know forgiveness is not a straight line. I broke us, but if you let me, I will spend every day proving I can rebuild." She searched his face, the lines of tension easing under her scrutiny. The hurt lingered, a bruise on her heart that time alone could not heal. Yet, in the curve of Ethan's cheek, the determined set of Noah's mouth, she saw echoes of the man before ambition claimed him. The boy who had sketched blueprints of their future on napkins in crowded diners. "Stay," she said finally, the word a concession and a command. "For them, for now. But if you falter, if work pulls you away again, we are done." "Truly." He nodded, solemn as a vow. "I understand. And to seal it, I called my assistant this morning, cleared my calendar for the next month. No deals, no travel, just this." Dr. Elena Vargas entered then, her white coat crisp, clipboard in hand. She had become a steady presence through the chaos, and her Hispanic warmth was countering the clinical chill. "Sophia, Alex," she greeted, her smile genuine. "Progress reports are encouraging. The boys are off the ventilators full-time, and your iron levels are stabilizing, Sophia. But we need to discuss the genetic screening results." The room stilled, the air thickening with anticipation. Sophia's hold tightened instinctively. "What is it?" she asked, bracing for the worst. Dr. Vargas pulled up a chair, her tone compassionate yet direct. "Preliminary tests show a hereditary condition, mild hemophilia variant, linked to Alex's side of the family. It is manageable with modern treatments, prophylactic infusions, and monitoring, not life-threatening, but it means lifelong commitment. Regular checkups, activity restrictions in youth, and education on bleeds. It is a curveball, but one we can navigate." Alex absorbed the news, the weight settling like an old debt called due. His grandfather had whispered of such shadows in their lineage, dismissed as ancient history. Now, it manifested in the boy's fragile forms, demanding he confront the legacy he carried. "We will handle it," he said, meeting Sophia's gaze. Together, no shortcuts. Sophia exhaled, the revelation weaving another thread into their tapestry. It complicated the path, turning redemption into a marathon of vigilance. Yet, it grounded them, tethering dreams to reality. Dr. Vargas, sensing the shift, brightened. "Excellent. In that spirit, I want to introduce you to our family support program. It is community-based, with peer groups for parents of preemies, counseling tailored to high-risk births, and even home visits from social workers. No one does this alone here. I will have Maria send the details." As the doctor departed, promising rounds later, Sophia leaned into Alex, the twins' warmth bridging the gap between them. The lounge window framed a sky with sunset hues, painting the room in golds and pinks. It was not absolution, not yet, but a pivot. David's confession echoed in Alex's mind, a mirror to his flaws, while Sophia traced patterns on Noah's blanket, envisioning holidays and scraped knees navigated as a unit. The genetic twist loomed, a reminder that responsibility stretched beyond the hospital walls, into school plays and soccer fields, infusions and insurance battles. In the quiet that followed, Alex whispered plans for their discharge. The old house aired out, a nursery assembled from stored boxes, meals prepped by a service to ease Sophia's recovery. She listened, interjecting practicalities, her voice gaining strength. For the first time since the courtroom's cold finality, conversation flowed without barbs, laced with the tentative optimism of co-parenting. As evening deepened, nurses arrived for vitals, their efficient hands a gentle intrusion. Sophia relinquished the boys reluctantly, watching as they were settled back into the bassinets. Alex remained at her side, wheeling her toward her room, the corridor lights dimming for the night. David's visit had cracked open doors long sealed, his past a cautionary echo. Though forgiveness simmered unevenly, Sophia extended grace in increments, allowing Alex's presence to fill the void step by step. Outside, the city pulsed onward, oblivious to personal reckonings. But within these walls, a family coalesced, forged not in perfection but in persistence. The turning point had arrived, not with fanfare, but with the soft cry of a newborn, demanding they rise to meet it. Sophia realized redemption was not a destination, but the daily choice to turn toward light. And in that choice, hope took root, sturdy and unyielding. Sunlight filtered through the gauzy curtains of the old Victorian house, casting golden patterns across the hardwood floors that creaked underfoot like familiar whispers. It had been 3 weeks since Sophia's discharge from the hospital, and the air inside carried the mingled scents of fresh linens, baby powder, and the faint herbal notes of chamomile tea steeping in the kitchen. The space, once a repository of shared memories, now layered with dust from Alex's solitary months, had been revived through quiet labor. Boxes unpacked, walls repainted in soft neutrals, and a nursery assembled in what used to be the guest room, its walls adorned with murals of starry skies and gentle forests painted by a local artist Sophia had found online during her bedridden days. Sophia stood at the window, cradling Noah against her shoulder, his tiny body warm and heavy with the incremental gains of ounces and milestones. The boy's dark lashes fluttered against his cheeks, his breathing a soft rhythm synced with the distant hum of traffic from the street below. Ethan lay in the bassinet nearby, swaddled in a blanket embroidered with sailboats, his fists pumping the air in sleepy protest against the morning light. At 34 weeks adjusted age, the twins had shed the fragility of the NICU, their skin no longer translucent but flushed with the pink of vitality. Yet, the hemophilia diagnosis lingered like a quiet undercurrent, prompting Alex to stock the bathroom cabinet with factor concentrates and schedule their first pediatric hematology appointment for the following week. She turned as Alex entered the room, balancing a tray with steaming mugs and a plate of sliced fruit. His hair was tousled from sleep, and the sleeves of his Henley shirt were pushed up to reveal forearms marked by faint bruises from the blood draws that had become routine. Gone was the polished entrepreneur in tailored suits. In his place stood a man attuned to the cadence of feedings and burp cloths, his phone silenced except for the occasional chime from the baby monitor app. "Good morning," he said, his voice low to avoid waking Ethan fully. "How did the night go? Any more bruising on the boys?" Sophia shifted Noah to her other arm, accepting the mug with a nod, one small one on Ethan's knee from where he kicked during the 3 a.m. change. "Nothing major, but I applied the cream as the specialist advised. He slept through it like a champ." She sipped the tea, the warmth seeping into her bones, easing the residual ache from her C-section scar. Recovery had been a marathon of rest and gentle walks around the block, her body knitting itself back together under the guidance of physical therapy sessions twice a week. Dr. Vargas had cleared her for light duties, but the emotional terrain proved more uneven, trust rebuilding in layers as thin as the twins' downy hair. Alex set the tray on the changing table, then scooped Ethan up, nestling him against his chest with practiced ease. The boy rooted instinctively, latching on to the pacifier Alex offered from his pocket. "You look tired," Alex observed, his gaze tracing the faint shadows under her eyes. David texted earlier, offering to drop off those meal kits he mentioned. Said he is testing a new service from his network, no strings attached. Sophia arched an eyebrow, a flicker of amusement softening her features. David Reed, reformed workaholic, playing delivery boy? That is a sight I would pay to see. She had glimpsed him once since the hospital, during a brief visit where he arrived with a stuffed bear for each twin and an apology wrapped in anecdotes from his own lost years. His confession had humanized him, transforming the villain of her divorce narrative into a cautionary figure, flawed but striving. Still, boundaries held firm. His role now hovered at the periphery, a supportive uncle rather than the architect of their fractures. "Let him," Alex replied, rocking Ethan gently. "He needs this as much as we do." Last week, over coffee, he admitted he is mentoring a young founder pro bono now, focusing on work-life balance clauses in contracts. It is his way of making amends. Alex's tone carried a note of quiet pride forged in shared redemption. Their own therapy had begun 2 sessions prior, facilitated by a counselor named Lila, who specialized in postpartum couples. The sessions unfolded in a sunlit office downtown, a neutral ground where words once weaponized now served as bridges. Alex spoke of his grandfather's unspoken hemophilia struggles, the family secret that had shaped his drive to outrun weakness. Sophia unpacked the isolation of her pregnancy, the fear that vulnerability would shatter her further. The doorbell chimed, pulling them from the moment. Alex glanced at the clock, 7:15, then handed Ethan back to Sophia before descending the stairs. Through the nursery monitor, she watched him open the door to reveal not David, but a delivery service bearing crates of organic produce and pre-portioned meal components. Alex signed for it with a grin, hauling the boxes inside and stacking them in the mudroom like trophies of normalcy. By the time he returned, the twins were fussing in unison, a duet of hunger that demanded attention. Together, they navigated the morning ritual, bottles warmed in the kitchen, burps coaxed over shoulders, diapers changed with synchronized efficiency. Sophia marveled at how seamlessly they had fallen into this rhythm, a dance relearned from their pre-divorce days, but enriched by the gravity of near loss. As the boys settled into a post-feed doze, she proposed a walk in the nearby park, the autumn leaves turning the paths into a carpet of crimson and gold. She said fresh air would do them good, bundling the twins into a double stroller with fleece-lined seats and tiny knit hats. The park unfolded like a living painting, dog walkers and joggers weaving through the crisp October air. Sophia pushed the stroller along the winding gravel path, Alex at her side, his hand brushing hers occasionally in tentative connection. They paused at a bench overlooking a pond where ducks skimmed the surface, their quacks echoing like laughter. Ethan gurgled, pointing a chubby finger at the water, while Noah dozed undisturbed. Sophia thought this was the essence of their fragile new everyday, ordinary moments laced with profound gratitude. They talked as they walked, conversation meandering from the boys' latest quirks to lighter fare. Alex recounted a virtual meeting he had joined the day before, pitching a scaled-back version of his app to a smaller investor group, emphasizing features for family connectivity over raw scalability. The response had been positive, validating his pivot without demanding his soul. He clarified that, "I am not abandoning it all," catching her sidelong glance and reordering. "The company can run on autopilot, with me consulting remotely. David is actually stepping up as interim CEO." He laughed softly. "Who would have thought?" Sophia nodded, the knot of skepticism in her chest loosening thread by thread. "It sounds sustainable. And the boys' fund?" She referred to the trust he had established the week prior, seeded with a portion of his recent payout, earmarked for medical expenses and education. "It is set up," Alex confirmed. "Lawyers handled the details yesterday. Irrevocable, so no temptations to dip in for ventures. For them, entirely." A jogger passed, waving politely, and Sophia waved back, feeling the subtle shift in her posture, the way her shoulders no longer braced for solitude. The therapy had unearthed layers of resentment she had not fully acknowledged. Not just Alex's departure, but the erosion of her dreams, sidelined by his ascent. Lila had prompted her to voice aspirations beyond motherhood. In response, Alex had surprised her with a laptop upgrade and enrollment in an online graphic design course. This was a nod to her abandoned college passion. Small gestures, but cumulative, like the daily infusions that would safeguard the twins. As the sun climbed higher, warming the chill from their cheeks, they veered toward the playground at the park's edge. Empty at this hour, it offered swings creaking in the breeze and a sandbox dotted with forgotten toys. Alex lifted Ethan from the stroller, settling him in a baby swing and pushing gently, the boy's delighted squeals drawing smiles from passers-by. Sophia mirrored with Noah, the motion a soothing pendulum that mirrored her internal sway toward reconciliation. Watching Alex, his face alight with unfiltered joy, she felt the walls she had erected begin to crumble, not in a rush, but in a steady dissolve. "We could make this work," she said later, as they resumed their stroll, the twins lulled back to sleep by the motion. Not like before, rushing headlong, but intentional. Dates, even. Babysitters vetted through the support group Dr. Vargas recommended. Alex stopped, turning to face her fully, the path curving around them like an embrace. Intentional sounds perfect. And dates? He reached for her hand, lacing their fingers with a question in his eyes. "Starting now, if you are game. Coffee at that little spot by the lake? Just us, after nap time." She considered the weight of his palm, grounding her. The hurt had not vanished, etched into her like scar tissue, but beside it grew something resilient, trust, tentative yet blooming. "Yes," she replied, squeezing his hand. "Coffee it is, and maybe ice cream after, if the boys cooperate." They continued homeward, the stroller wheels crunching over fallen leaves, the city awakening in a symphony of possibility. David arrived mid-afternoon, as promised, his SUV pulling up with a stack of insulated bags. He joined them for a brief lunch on the porch, regaling the twins with exaggerated tales of boardroom dragons slain, his eyes softening at their coups. As he departed, promising to return for story hour next weekend, Sophia caught Alex's gaze, a silent affirmation passing between them. Evening descended softly, the house aglow with lamps and the flicker of a candle on the dining table. The boys bathed and bedded early, their nursery monitor casting a green nightlight over the proceedings. Sophia and Alex slipped out for their impromptu date, a neighbor from the support program watching the twins with the assurance of a seasoned mother of 3. The cafe hummed with evening chatter, steam rising from their lattes as they claimed a corner table. Conversation flowed unhurried, dipping into dreams deferred, her sketches of children's book illustrations, his vision for a tech incubator focused on parental leave innovations. Walking home under streetlights strung like stars, Sophia slipped her arm through his, the contact natural as breathing. The night air carried the promise of cooler days ahead, but within her stirred a warmth undimmed by seasons. She realized forgiveness was not erasure but integration, the past woven into the fabric of their present without unraveling the whole. Back home, the boys slept soundly, their chests rising in tandem. Alex paused in the doorway, watching Sophia tuck a stray curl behind her ear. "Thank you," he whispered, "for giving us this chance." She met his eyes, the vulnerability there mirroring her own. "We are giving it to ourselves, all 4 of us." In the quiet that followed, as they prepared for bed side by side, Sophia felt the dawn of true hope. Not a fairy tale perfection, but a hard-won light, illuminating the path forward. Actions, not oaths, would sustain them through infusions and first steps, conflicts and celebrations. And in that commitment, their family stood, roots deepening into soil enriched by trial, branches reaching toward an open sky.